Hello, welcome to Sport on Pulse. My name is Hans Mensah, and it's been an interesting 3 days in Ghana as far as football administration is concerned, from FIFA's correspondence to government, essentially issuing an ultimatum for government to discontinue legal processes seeking to liquidate the Ghana Football Association, to government's response, also seeking further consultations with FIFA. That consultation has been had. There's been a response or a communique issued after that particular meeting between government and FIFA, and we'll be going through that for you pretty shortly. Right, so that's it on your screen. Now, it reads, outcome of meeting between government of Ghana and FIFA to discuss next steps for football administration in Ghana. On Thursday, August 16, 2018, a delegation of the government of Ghana, led by the Minister for Youth and Sports, Isaac Esiama, and comprising the Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Samuel Abujinapo, the Minister for Information Designate, Kojo Oponkroma, the Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dami, and the head of the FIFA CAF liaison team, Dr. Kofi Amwa, met with a delegation of FIFA officials led by its president, Mr. Gianni Infantino, and comprising the Secretary General, Madam Fatma Samura, and other representatives of the FIFA administration. The meeting resolved as follows. 1. The President of Ghana and FIFA have committed to work together to offer leadership in reforming football administration in Ghana and in Africa. 2. That the government of Ghana and FIFA shall work closely to eradicate corruption and malfeasance and other associated criminal conduct from the administration of football in Ghana. And FIFA, those are 3. The government of Ghana and FIFA shall establish a joint task force to create proper disciplinary governance and auditing mechanisms, as well as ensure that persons who are found culpable are punished in accordance with Ghanaian domestic laws and FIFA statutes. 4. FIFA, upon consultation with the government of Ghana and CAF, shall establish a normalization committee to replace the executive committee of the Ghana Football Association. 5. FIFA, in consultation with the government of Ghana and CAF, shall appoint persons with integrity and competence to constitute the membership of the normalization committee. And 6. Satisfied with the above measures, the government of Ghana shall take steps to discontinue the process for the winding up of the Ghana Football Association. So that is the outcome of that meeting between government and FIFA. In the studio with me is the Honorable Rashid Pelpou, who is the MP for Wa Central and former Minister for Youth and Sports. Thanks for joining us, Honorable.
Thank you.
So, what do you make of this latest development?
Well, I think it's good for us all. I was very surprised with the kind of rhetoric I was hearing, from government side and government agents urging government on and raising issues about sovereignty and saying they should encouraging government to violate FIFA deadline and meet it headlong. This has brought a lot of sanity in the process of reorganizing GFA and also strengthening Ghana's football. I have always advocated reform within, not reform without.
Okay.
There must be something called the superstructure of GFA before we can think about making it better. If you dismantle it, there's nothing that you'll be reforming. So it's a good initiative, and I think that we can work with that.
Do you think that government exercised poor judgment in its decision to liquidate the Ghana Football Association?
That was terribly a bad mistake. I thought that government should not have done that, even though there's something called a shadow of hierarchy, in which government superimposes its will on everybody, because that's a legitimate organization that takes care of the nation, that assumes sovereign power. But that does not mean that independent private organizations should not exist within that that shadow of hierarchy. Where you want to undermine these kinds of organizations which have links with transnationals, for example, FIFA, then you run into problems. Because you submit yourself to FIFA, and then you agree that FIFA's rules and regulations should work in your country. You give up a bit of your own control of that organization, a bit of it to an external, and that makes you a member. You know, so when you take it away, you cease to be a member. So I was wondering how we could work to ensure a workable GFA without an existing structure that we would have worked with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to how we got here in the first place. The number 12 expose, you know, brought to light some of the things that hitherto had been covered by the Ghana Football Association. What was your reaction after seeing the documentary?
I reacted with a lot of pain. In fact, what I was seeing was not just seeing the people I was seeing there. I was seeing the Ghanaian. Because every single person they got to, more than 90% of the people they got to, capitulated to the test of integrity. Right. And I didn't see the people there. I saw a Ghanaian. We played out our character. We played out our very nature. The fact that the Ghanaian is easily manipulated, you know, to get to a certain target, is what I saw, and I was very, very sad that you know, we still are in this situation. So I think that it is an expose that tells a story of the Ghanaian, and we need to consider it with a lot of seriousness.
How would you describe your own relationship with the Ghana Football Association during your tenure as sports minister?
It was excellent, I believe. Except that we had a lot of challenges. You know, the challenges.
What were some of those challenges?
The challenges are exactly what is playing out now.
Okay.
You know, situations where you have individuals in government, in the periphery, not inside working, you know, individuals. People who are in the periphery, who are showing interest in the GFA, who thought that their government has come to power, they should manipulate the GFA in a certain way because they feel that government has power and control over everything, and so they should control the GFA in that manner. You know, I resisted it.
Okay.
I cleared with the president and I stood strong and I said, look, GFA is an organization that has an independent outlook. So I would maintain that. So I refuse to allow any such interference in the affairs of the GFA, even though they tried. It is what exactly we are seeing today in a grander style, where, you know, pronouncements were sanctioned by government.
Okay.
The courts had to go to court in order to liquidate the GFA, and attempts to set up a private organization or maybe an official organization that will oversee the affairs of the GFA. They went too far in that direction. And so in the time I worked, fortunately, I had an orientation that tells me that if people elect themselves, you don't go to control them from the standpoint of a political party elected into government.
Right.
You allow them to operate, but that they will be subject to the laws of the land, individually and collectively. But it does not mean that that superstructure, the organization, is faulty.
Okay, so in essence, the state can deal with the individuals, but not the institution.
Not the institution. The institution has assumed a life of its own.
Okay.
And has a character defined by the conduct and behavior of the individuals.
Right.
And so when the individuals don't behave according to the dictates of the organization, and then they introduce anything that has to do with fraud, sleaze, scam, then you deal with that, you know, using domestic laws. The fact is that this international organization or transnational organization called the FIFA is formed with consideration of environmental and social factors. Okay. And so when those factors are taken into consideration, they inform GFA how it looks like. Okay. It also informs FIFA how it perceives the GFA.
Right.
So you don't just brush it aside as if it has no relevance or it has no roots in its existence. When you treat it that way, then you can trigger off some other ramifications, which is what was going to happen to Ghana, should we continue insisting on what we wanted to do.
Were you worried by the perception, you know, that the FA was corrupt, and did you question the president of the Ghana Football Association during your tenure?
Yeah,
about the incessant, you know, allegations of corruption.
Actually, we had a long discussion, several discussions over issues about these things. In fact, this is a guy, the man I respected so much, Kwesi Nyantakyi, because he showed a lot of commitment to his work.
Okay. And
where there were issues that bordered on corruption, he would draw your attention. I mean, not corruption, and the image of GFA and government. He would draw your attention, to it, making sure that nothing that came out was bad in the eyes of the people or was wrong.
Okay.
So we presented the best we could, know. I never had any situation to doubt that he had very genuine and was very committed towards achieving the best for Ghana football.
Okay. And
thankfully, I was excited because during that period, we took a lot of laurels and went to World Cup, South Africa, went to Angola, and we had wonderful time. There was a particular instant when we went to Egypt. There were a lot of scandals coming up, and if they came up, I wondered whether we would have won the Under-20 World Cup.
That was in 2009.
2009. I wondered whether we would have won it. But when they came out, as a minister responsible, I decided to arrest all the issues that were coming. They didn't bother on corruption. They bothered on ethics and morality.
Okay.
So I arrested them and suppressed them.
Okay.
And then the journalists understood me at the point, because individual players were directly mentioned in those situations.
Right.
So sometimes, because we are in a human institution and we are human beings, there are certain things when they occur, leadership should show responsibility. Correct the thing. After all, when you correct it, whether it was known earlier or not known earlier, if it was corrected, and you ensure that never again will it occur, it's better than to have it blown out, everybody falls apart, and then everybody suffers.
Right.
That was my ideology at the time.
Now, you posted on Twitter essentially talking about the fact that government was going to, lose in a street battle against FIFA. Let me quote your words directly from Twitter. Now, you said, government must not get itself entangled in a war with FIFA. It was my stance as sports minister and still my stance. Machismo by any government official will backfire. Investigate, but meet with FIFA. It does appear you agree with FIFA's insistence on non-interference.
Yes, I do insist on it. Remember that when I was the Minister for Youth and Sports, we had a similar thing with the Athletics Association.
Okay.
And Ghana was even banned because we were intransigent and insisted that we wanted to have the same order going on. And the same order was that you appointed a Ghana Olympics Committee chairman, and then they go and vote for him by confirmation at the Congress. And they said, no, according to their new rules, you will not appoint somebody to be voted for. Okay. You will have to have the people themselves nominate and vote on the nominees.
Right.
So because we insisted, the ban is, so I had to retract. I went back, wrote a letter to them, reviewed the stance of Ghana on that matter, discussed with my president, and made sure that we got back on track. Okay. Because the laws of Ghana at the time was telling us that we should do that. So it would run counter against the World Olympics Federation. So I had to balance it off. In this same manner, I thought that the government was heading towards, we should learn from experience. It was directly heading for a headlong collusion with FIFA. Okay. And we were going to lose. Because those who were using sovereign arguments, say we are a sovereign state, had nothing to do with our sovereignty. Because we are a sovereign state, it is the reason why we had a free choice of belonging to FIFA. Or not. And we decided to belong to it. Okay. There's no way we would one day say that we would never belong to FIFA again. And once there's no such a decision or a supposition, then we don't have to jeopardize our relation with FIFA. So I thought that in the end, if you say you are breaking away from FIFA, you want to organize outside FIFA, and then when you have finished organizing, you go back to FIFA, you will have to go and beg. You write a letter to FIFA and say, we want to come back. FIFA will examine the letter, slap some rules on you, and then you obey all the rules, you would have come to nothing. All the things you would have done would have come to nothing. Would you have elected a GFA president? No. Would you have set up a GFA? No. Because they wouldn't have been known to FIFA.
Right.
So when you write a letter and say you are coming back, they will say, okay, now let the associations themselves establish their, go to Congress. Let us see how each of the associations emerge. Let us see how the Congress works up to. Let us see how the Congress ensure that leadership emerges. And then they will come and observe. So now we are even going to be more embarrassed getting our every single conference by any association elected. Football association, they elect their leadership, it emerges, they come to Congress, an executive committee, this, that. You know, FIFA would then supervise everything. That would have violated the sovereign rights of our people, you know, to make sure we elect our own people, supervise our own elections, and come out with our own leaders. So I thought that we're heading for a vain fight, a vain outcome, where you collide with FIFA and come out with nothing.
Would you agree with, you know, those who say that maybe, you know, a measure of state control could have averted the situation that we find ourselves in now? That if government had a bit more oversight over the activities or conduct of the FA, we probably could have averted the situation that we find ourselves in.
Government has always had you know, an oversight over FIFA.
How much
over GFA. Look, we sponsor every national team. These things occur because we think that the money we give them, they are not accounted for adequately.
Right.
Government doesn't give GFA the money. Many people don't know this.
Okay.
Where
does the money come from?
No, it comes from government, but government doesn't give it to GFA and say,
directly.
Take it.
Okay.
When there's a tournament, a major tournament, and we're going to play the tournament, the minister goes there, the chief director is there, the director of finance is there, other officers are there to help in the process.
Okay.
The money is lodged with them. Then the GFA will do a budget and say, for this much, we have to give each person A, B, C, D. Previously agreed by government. So when the match is won or lost, this is the expenditure. Then they pay GFA, and GFA then pays them. That's how it happens. So GFA doesn't have solid money to manage.
Okay.
The money is
so
always
the money is not handed to the FA to spend.
No.
Okay.
Even, you know, so you don't. So because of that, you can monitor how the money is spent. Okay. And you can provide oversight by the use of both internal and external auditors, state auditors, who will audit the GFA, and they audit them every year to bring out lapses to the attention of the minister. Now, if they bring them out, that's the point you control what they do. Okay. You can now say that, look, now I think that the money was not spent properly. I'm not going to give you this money. And Van der Poel did it so well. Okay. You know, when he examined the audit report and everything, he said, look, there used to be money given to GFA officials if there was victory. Now, from now on, I'm the minister. I'm not going to pay any GFA official. I'll pay only the players. No more allowance for A, B, C, D. And that was a measure of control by government. And
but this, what you're describing has to do with, you know, monies that is given to the FA and how it is disbursed, as it were. Yeah. What about when it comes to decisions, when it comes to the FA making reforms? We sat back and watched the FA president handpick his vice and fire him when he wants. These are things that people feel that, look, in a way, the taxpayers' money goes to the FA. The people or the funds are stakeholders, major stakeholders when it comes to football in this country. They should have somebody speaking for them when it comes to key decision making at the Ghana Football Association.
GFA was always open, or has always been open to government representative in the GFA.
Has it?
Yes. I recall that when I was a minister, I even I questioned it, whether there was somebody who would speak for government. Even though in the structure of leadership, you don't find it there. The president said, please, you can have somebody represent government in all our meetings. so that he can speak for government or he can advise us.
Okay.
That was very, very clearly put, you know. And I just thought that it was a bright idea, and I thought I should implement it across board, not just at the GFA at the national level, but at the regions as well. Those were some of the reforms I instigated.
It's interesting you've mentioned reforms. There's going to be a normalization committee that will oversee reforms. What are some of the key reforms that government should push for?
First of all, you complain about the fact that there's a GFA president who will appoint his vice president. That is the law. But where there's it causes problems of conflict of interest, or perhaps a problem of centralizing power in the hands of one person without separation of powers.
Right.
You can deal with that. You can influence the GFA to amend their own constitution to take that one away, so that it wouldn't bother them. Wherever there are challenges of how leadership emerge with the GFA, we can make those kinds of amendments. For example, we can talk about tenure of office, and ultimate tenure of office.
Right.
If, for example, it's a 4-year term, and you can have 4 3-year term, after 3 years term, 3 terms in office, we can say, well, there shouldn't be, don't contest anymore. That too should be there. I'm sure many of the challenges Nyantakyi faced was that he apparently was liked by the people and kept in office for quite a long while, and people started questioning why he should be in office, not because of what he's not doing right, you know. So I think that those reforms can come with the input of the public. I believe that those discussions should be opened up to the public.
Should government push for greater involvement and control?
Yes, greater involvement in the affairs of GFA. You know, the constitution, the GFA regulations or constitution or laws should allow for, you know, greater influence from the public, interaction with the public. Yeah, so that it's not too close an organization for them to continue to fire suspicion, have suspicions and complaints about what it does and what it doesn't do. It hasn't done.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rashid Pelpou. And of course, the discussion and conversation will continue on this particular matter. It remains to be seen whether government will be satisfied with the the work of the normalization committee. We'll see what comes out of that one and what the final determination is going to be, whether government is going to withdraw that petition from the High Court or not. This has been Sports on the Pulse. My name is Hans Mensah Ando.